Hey guys, this is going to be Trig Day 12. So this is similar to what we were doing yesterday, except now we're going to deal with a function instead of with a graph. So we just have to figure out the pieces of this equation that are going to give us the information that we found yesterday. So again, we're looking for amplitude, period, midline. Okay, so from this question here, okay, it follows this format. So it's going to be A sine of bx. Okay, so A is our amplitude. B gives us the period, but it's 2 pi divided by B equals the period. So we have to do a little bit of math there, but nothing too bad. So that's going to give us the period, and then we have plus C at the end sometimes, which we don't have any for questions 1 or 2, but we'll have another one down below that'll have a value for us. So this plus C gives us our midline. Okay, so for question number 1, my amplitude is going to be 3 because it's just this first number right here. Okay, for the period, I have to do 2 pi divided by B. So my B value here is 2. So 2 pi divided by 2, and you always have to simplify. So that's just going to give us pi, because 2 divided by 2 gives us 1. So the period equals pi. And then for the midline, that's going to be y equals, and there's no number here for C, so that just means it's 0. Y equals 0. And there's our answer for question number 1. So you're just taking those pieces out. The only thing you really have to remember is that you have to do 2 pi divided by this value in here. And the reason for that is, remember yesterday when we graphed our original sine function, if we just graphed sine of x, the period was 2 pi, so that's why we have the 2 pi. You're taking the normal period and you're dividing it by this number here. Okay, so just 2 pi divided by your B value. That's the only real formula you have to remember. Amplitude just comes from the front, midline comes from the back, and that's it. Okay, so for question number 2, okay, amplitude is going to be 3/4, and we can just leave that as a fraction. That's just half of our height there. So our period is going to be 2 pi divided by 2/3. And remember, when you're dividing by a fraction, what you can do is keep, change, flip here. So we keep that first number, 2 pi. We change our division to multiplication, and then we flip our second fraction. So flip it to 3/2. Okay, there's 2 ways you can do this. You can multiply straight across, or you can see these 2's cancel. So 2 times 3, and the pi just kind of hangs out. It's like a variable. It's just there. So 2 times 3 gives us 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So we have 3 pi is our period here. Or you can say, oh, the 2's there. Those cancel out, so I'm left with 3 pi. So that's our period. And then for the midline, it's going to be y equals 0 because there's no C value over here. Okay, so for number 3, you can see there is a C value there, so we're going to have a different midline besides y equals 0. But again, same thing. Amplitude, if there's nothing in the front, remember there's like a 1 there, an imaginary 1. So my amplitude is 1. For the period, I'm doing 2 pi divided by my B value, which is 4 here. And we just want to simplify 2/4. Again, this pi doesn't really do anything. It's just there. We just have to keep it because we're measuring in radians. So I do 2 pi divided by 4. 2 divided by 4, I can simplify that to 1/2. So that's going to be pi over 2 is going to be the period. And then for the midline, we're going to get y equals -2. So again, amplitude and midline should be the easiest things that you do. You're just taking amplitude from the front. You're taking midline from the back. So the period is the only thing that you have to do a little bit of math for. Question number 4, last one. Amplitude is 3 because I'm just taking that number in the front. In here, period, 2 pi divided by my B value. There's no value here, so it's a 1. 2 pi divided by 1 is just 2 pi. And then for the midline, I'm taking this plus 1, so it's just y equals 1. Okay, and that's it. So just to recap, amplitude from the front, midline from the back, period in the middle, 2 pi divided by whatever that value is in front of x. So go ahead, try your homework for Trig Day 12.